Early in 2006, two communities from Toronto Community Housing got together to participate in the Ontario Justice Education Network mock trial and Justice 101.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, my name is Leon Cole.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is Mark Thompson.
Good morning, Your Honor. For the record, my name is Patterson, P-A-T-T-E-R-S-O-N, first initial B.
For the record, my name is Thomas, T-H-O-M-A-S, in short.
Your Honor, my name is Walter.
My name is Reed, R-E-I-D, first initial R. My name is Michael Morrison.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Kizina Taylor, T-A-Y-L-O-R.
This program is much different than a lot of the other programs that mostly have a focus on assuming that the youth are going to be involved with the justice system, so it comes across as a very negative approach. But with this whole program, it's much different because this encompasses the whole justice system and teaches the youth all about how the justice system works and who are the key players in the justice system.
Minors, music, MP3 players all around you.
I didn't hear what you said.
Well, the one I had in my ears, yeah.
In the justice system. And it also allows them to understand each of the roles and what those jobs are all about in case they want to do that as a career. So basically what took place is, for each of the communities, we started out with a Justice 101 night, where judges and lawyers and clerks and everyone else involved with the whole justice system came together, and the youth were able to ask questions after they heard the process from the point of a person getting a charge to the sentencing. They were going to have a mock trial, which some of the youth thought that sounded kind of boring in the beginning, but once we got into it, they were very enthusiastic. We decided to have a case. We went through a scenario, and then we basically flipped a coin to see who would be the crown and who would be the defense. And in the Glendower community, we actually got to be the crown, which we weren't quite sure. The youth were a little apprehensive, thinking the case was not very strong. But in the weeks that followed, the one-to-one work that they did with their mentors from the justice system really paid off. They made really strong arguments. They wrote down a script of what they were going to follow, but before long they didn't really need the script. They were very passionate about the case and about their arguments, and were very strong. So as the time approached, we were called by CBC, who wanted to do a story on us, and one of the youth came down from Glendower, another came down from Fir Grove, and it was interesting because there was a lot of tension between the two, more of a rivalry than anything else, that was kind of playful. And after they left, it was pretty much like, okay, game's on. Let's see what's going to happen after this. And they continued with that enthusiasm. They actually had to come all the way downtown to Old City Hall on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and they were on time, dressed to impress. A few of them are usually wearing their loose baggy clothes and their do-rags, but all that was gone for the day of the trial. And the jury was made up of spectators that were from the different communities and from just other communities that were not participating in the program. And Glendower won the court case. But that day wasn't just about winning the court case. It was about all the learning that went into it. I saw from the beginning some of the youth that came out weren't very interested. They enjoyed that we have programs to offer, but they thought it was just going to be something boring, because from what they've always heard or saw on TV, they've always seen law to be pretty boring and dry and not part of their world, unless, the stereotypes always say that that's where they're going to end up, but they didn't really think about it.
She clipped it there because she felt comfortable with it on her belt and making her sweater conceal the MP3 player.
They didn't really think about the other side of it. But through this process, quite a few of them found a lot of strength and abilities that they weren't sure that they had. They didn't know that they could be so strong standing in front of a courtroom full of people and being strong like that. And some of them actually have changed their ideas about what they might want to do with their future. Some have already had some ideas in the past of what they might want to do, and others haven't given much thought to their future, but you can see that happening because sometimes in certain communities where all you have is a lot of stereotypes about where people telling you where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be like, and you see a lot of the bad situations going on around you. Doesn't leave much options for that. This program is much different though because it takes you out of the community and shows you different things that are happening around you, and it also takes you away from a classroom setting as well. OGen has done a lot of work with school boards, but I think bringing it out into the community and having the youth actually participate and being part of the system and participating in the mock trial, it shows them what their potential could be of being in the courtroom, and also for other careers where those skills are transferable.
Everybody has different types of characters, right? But the thing is, though, everybody expresses it differently, right? Some people might have this type of way where they hold their emotions inside, right? Sometimes, you know, it's let's say embarrassing to cry in front of other people. Maybe that's something that they grew up with. Some people, you know, can't express themselves in a certain way. Me personally, I don't know what he means by get into your inner self.
Okay. To follow up on the example that she gave, on the question that she posed, and to agree with what you're saying. So if I've grown up in a society where it's embarrassing, like you said, for me to cry in front of people, fine. I might hold it in while we're here. And then when I'm aware that I'm with somebody else, I might be like, this thing is really bothering me, and I might cry. But what he's saying is, people will act tough.
Okay.
So instead of just holding the emotion in, they actually do something else. So because you feel a way, you act tough. Because your girlfriend did something and you're embarrassed, slap her in front of everybody because you want to show I'm the man.
Those are certain people. Certain people.
And that's what he's saying. Like,
Yeah.
why is that happening?
The community of Glendara has experienced a lot of violence and loss in the past few years. Having sat through many meetings with tenants after moments of crisis, you can just feel their emotions when you're in the room. The sense of hopelessness for the future of their youth, especially with all this stuff going around. There's a lot of uncertainty about what kind of opportunities are out there for the youth. After one of these moments of crisis, Toronto Community Housing, along with the support of West Scarborough Neighbourhood Community Centre, applied for funding through the City of Toronto's Crisis Response Fund. And we accessed some resources so that we could make an impact on the community to try to decrease the violence that was going on. Our goal was to work with the youth and organize a speak out followed by a series of workshops. We held the speak out and had a lot of youth turn out, and it was very successful, and we began to work on the workshops. But even after we were doing that, we noticed that violence still was continuing on, and we knew that something different had to happen. So with discussions with the youth and other youth serving agencies, we discussed that maybe part of the solution is to have a break and remove the youth from the community for a bit to get them away and have a little bit of a different perspective. So with some of the funds that were remaining from the Crisis Response Fund, we were able to take the youth away on a retreat. With the support of East Metro Youth Services, we were able to come up with the topic of an anti-violence workshop while we were away. And we took the youth to a place called Pioneer Outdoor Education and Retreat Center, and it's just near Huntsville, Ontario. And we wanted to get into the issue of violence, and we actually broke it apart a little bit. We talked about the way masculinity is portrayed in the media and how violence in general is portrayed in the media. We talked about violence and the impact of what's going on in their individual community and what their own experiences were with violence and relationships and how that impacts on it, and also about making positive choices when it comes to violence and your actions all the time. So here we were heading off to Huntsville, 2 van loads full of kids, and I was thinking, what are we getting ourselves into as the Loud music was in my ears, driving up a windy road in the middle of the dark. Scared, but still feeling their excitement. They were very anxious to get there. That first night I was expecting that we were going to be up for hours, but turns out that myself and Liqua East Metro were up the longest, and the next morning we were very surprised to wake up and see the youth already up and getting ready for breakfast and participating. They're very anxious to check out their surroundings. You know, first thing we're getting up and walking around, checking out the forested area, the water. A lot of these kids, it was their first time getting away from the city, their first time maybe away from home. And it was quite the experience to see and live through them vicariously, to see, you know, re-experiencing yourself going away for the first time. It was amazing. They're full of so much energy. And the package that we got included 2 activities, and what we selected was canoeing and mountain biking, and thought we'd be really full with those activities. But we also were doing some more activities around the site, like capture the flag, traditional kind of outdoor activities, and of course we did the workshops. We didn't do a lot of filming at the workshops just because we were talking about their first-hand experiences and some of the situations that they've gone through, so it was more of a personal nature, so we thought it would be better for the youth if we did not film during that segment. But it was very well received, and we really got deep into a lot of issues and were able to process things and really get to the root of where some of the violence was coming from and how it was impacting them. And we actually talked a bit about how they can have an impact on what's happening in the community and how they could play a role to decrease the violence that's going on. We talked about how their experiences were as maybe a victim or witness to violence, and also about certain acts that they might have had a part in where they have been violent themselves. And it was interesting to see both perspectives. Mostly everybody, you know, experienced violence of some sort, whether it was as a witness themselves or actually doing the violence themselves. So it was quite interesting. The workshops were very effective in breaking down some of the stereotypes and the myths and images, and about, you know, where the right choices start, and if you don't make the right choice, what's going to happen after that, and how things just kind of snowball out of control. The outdoor experience had a huge impact as well. They tried so many new things and a lot of old things they had done, but with a different spin because of the surrounding that they were in. The package was just supposed to include canoeing and mountain biking, and there was like a certain set time schedule for that, but our youth were so filled with energy and playfulness, and it was just almost contagious. And even the staff that was from the retreat center was impressed by it and could feel it. She was having a great time. She was having such a great time that she actually gave us extra time and included a few extra activities. And they don't normally even get involved themselves, but she stayed around and enjoyed the activities too. And I think they really liked having that experience. And it's funny about the canoeing because a lot of people just take an activity like canoeing for granted, but having the opportunity for them to go canoeing was a chance for them to take a positive risk and enjoy the sense of fear in a supportive and safe setting. You know, it teaches them that you can push your limits, and you learn a skill at the same time as that. And the retreat gave the youth a chance to really bond. You know, they come from the same community, but I think when you're in that community, you kind of have to put up front sometimes and be someone maybe that you're not, just as a survival skill. But being up there in a different environment where we were just being people, it gave a chance for people to really get to know each other. And it also gave the youth a chance to really get to bond with us even more than what we already have been, because they got to see us, a different side of us.